Hola, YouTube. I'm back after another Leafs game, the second game of the season. I didn't get to see the entire game. I kind of saw it in fits and starts because it's our long Thanksgiving weekend here in Canada, and we were kind of on the road visiting family, kind of around the region during the Saturday. So I listened to some of it on the radio. I missed parts of it, and then I saw other parts of it on TV. So it was kind of like I said, fits and starts. But the Leafs, as I was expecting, threw out a much better effort against Ottawa in this second game than they did in Montreal. I mentioned they were kind of flat; they didn't really seem with it. They threw out a much better effort. They grossly outshot Ottawa, and on top of that, Ottawa had a ton of blocked shots. Like the Leafs were throwing pucks all over the place, but they ran into some better goaltending than they got. Freddie was not nearly as sharp as he was in the opener against Montreal. A couple of shots kind of just seemed to go right through him, and he wasn't sharp, and that was ultimately their downfall because they ended up losing 5-3. And although they scored 3 goals and had a ton of other chances, they didn't get the goaltending, and that's the way hockey goes, right? You can they maybe shouldn't have won that game against Montreal, but the big boys scored when they had to. Freddie threw in a solid game in net, and then the opposite happens the next game, right? Like that's just the game of hockey and how it goes. The bright spots were that, like I said, they played a lot better. They had a ton of shots. They out hit them a little bit. The margins and hits, they out hit them. Their top players did score the 3 goals. Matthews, Marner, and on the back end, Riley had the goal from the defense. They threw out a much better effort. It was a much better game. They just lost. It's just the way it is. One of the goals, the new defenseman Oziganov that they signed from the KHL, he kind of made a bit of a blunder, swiped at the puck when he and got deked out of his jockstrap by one of the Sens young defensemen, and gave up a goal on that when if he just played the body and hit the guy, that play never would have happened. It would have been locked down. But that's just a process of getting used to a new country and a new league and a new team and all that stuff. So I assume all that stuff will get straightened out. The power play went 1 for 2. They only had 2 chances, but they went up 50% on that. And then on the flip side, their penalty kill was perfect. They killed off the only 2 penalties they had. So everything looked a lot better. So they just ended up losing. So they play again tonight in Chicago for Rogers Hometown Hockey. So they'll be right back at it on the road. Hopefully, sometimes when they get away from the pressure of Toronto and they go on that first kind of road trip, that can always help bring a team together. So hopefully they throw out another really good effort tonight. And Chicago, although they had a bad year last year, they're always with Kane and Taves and all those guys, and Crawford and Net and Keith and Seabrook on defense. They're a dangerous team no matter what. No matter how poorly they played the season before. You never take a team like that lightly. So hopefully they can buckle down and have another solid effort tonight, and hopefully get the 2 points. A bit of a departure from the hockey is that this time of year is also very exciting for me because the baseball playoffs start, and the last number of years, my favorite team, the Cleveland Indians, have had a really solid team and have been making the postseason. And a few years back, or 2 years back, they came very close to winning the World Series against the Chicago Cubs, who came back in dramatic fashion and killed all my hopes and dreams. So screw you, Chicago. I'm glad you lost the wild card this year and did not make it. But again, the Indians are kind of disappointing me. They're down 2-0 to Houston in the ALDS, and that's only a best of 5 too. So the next they lose one more and they're done. So they have to kind of win 3 in a row here to move on. And against Houston, the reigning World Series champions, that's going to be a hard thing to do. So I hope they can do it. I hope they can at least get a win at this point. At least it's shifting back to Houston for the next game, which I think should be tomorrow. But I was really excited for this year, and then the additions they made to the roster with Josh Donaldson coming over at the trade deadline and him starting to get his stride back on track. But you know what? They just the first game they got blown out 7-2 in a not great game. Verlander pitched, so I mean he's one of the best in the world, right? So they couldn't touch him, And then yesterday's game, I didn't see any of it, but I paid attention to it online a little bit, and it was close. They were up 1-0 for a while, but ended up losing 3-1. So it was a close one. But yeah, they got to buckle down and hopefully win 3 in a row. So, but that's how the hockey game went last night, and the baseball games have gone so far. And I'll be back again tomorrow when the Leafs pick up 2 points in Chicago. Good night.